Syracuse basketball search for their first Quadrant 1 victory in 2 years will have to wait yet another day. Another case of so close, yet somehow so far for the Orange. After leading Virginia as late as the 4-minute mark, SU drops their third straight, 67-62, to the Cavaliers inside the JMA Wireless Dome. We'll have all the analysis, all the stats, and all the highlights for you. It's Orange Press Pass, and it starts right now. Welcome into the CitrusTV studios. I'm Ashley Wenskoski, joined by our two analysts, Ian Nicholas and Skyler Wilkes. Syracuse basketball falls to number 6 Virginia, 67-62 inside the JMA Wireless Dome, and it's more of the same for this team that just can't seem to close out a win recently. So I want to get the first thoughts from you guys. Ian, we'll go with you first. What are your takeaways from this loss for the Orange?
My takeaways are the seniors are still gone, Skyler. I mean, I don't know where they are. I guess they're on the floor, but they're really not doing a whole lot. Jesse Edwards and Joe Girard, they combined for 15 points against Virginia Tech. And then today, Joe Girard once again not in double digits. And Jesse Edwards just likes to foul out now. That's twice in 3 games for the Dutchman. I don't know what's going on with these guys. They could barely win when they were playing well. And right now, they're not, and they're losing.
Yeah, well, it happened again last game, and now it happened again. Not again is my first thought. Ashley, you mentioned it earlier. Another blown lead for Syracuse. We're up late and just could not hold on. Careless turnovers and missed shots, bad decision-making by the Orange doomed them yet again.
Let's take a look inside the JMA Wireless Dome. The Orange welcoming in number 6 Virginia to the 3-1-5. Syracuse searching for some revenge after their 73-66 loss in Charlottesville earlier this month. The Cavs jump out to an early lead thanks to Jaden Gardner here. And then it's Reese Beckman to Ben Vander for the three-pointer. You can see Virginia just taking control of this game early, making it 10-2 early on. The Orange needed to wake up quickly, and they did. Jesse Edwards to Malik Brown here for the dunk. Makes it 14-8 UVA. And then number 11 turns it on in the 11th minute. Joe Girard doing what he does best to pull the Orange within just 1 point. 8:20 left to go. The freshman taking control here. Judah Mintz gives the Orange their first lead of the game, 24-23. But Virginia, they're not letting this one slip away. Just before the half, Reese Beckman hits a 3 to put the Cavs ahead 36-35 at the half. UVA off to a hot start out of the break. Armand Franklin with the layup to make it 42-35 Cavs 3 minutes in. But Syracuse back to grab the lead once again. Samir Torrance to Jesse Edwards to make it 54-50 SU with 9 minutes to go. And with 3 minutes left, UVA pulling away 62-58. And despite the best efforts of Judah Mintz, the Orange, they could just not close that gap in the final 2 minutes. Judah Mintz here trying to do all he can, but it's just not enough to close things out. And Jesse Edwards, look at this. He's going to foul out here with a minute to go. That was all she wrote. So much potential in this one for the Orange, but they fall once again in the game's final minutes. The final score from the Dome, a 67-62 win for Virginia. The Orange fall to the 500 mark, now 6-6 in ACC play. And now we have our reporter, Ian Unsworth. He's live inside the JMA Wireless Dome. Now, Ian, this team has been plagued with problems recently, and they were dealing with one tonight even before tip-off. Former starter Benny Williams was not present inside the Dome. So, Ian, did Jim Boeheim address Williams' whereabouts after the game?
Ashley, it was a weird one. The whole situation was very strange. Benny didn't even show up. Donna Ditota of Syracuse.com reported it first. And yes, Jim Boeheim somewhat addressed it post-game. Sam Corcoran, who's actually here with me behind the camera, was the one to ask the question. And after some snippy opening comments, Boeheim said that Benny took a personal day and he would be back on Wednesday for practice. So it didn't seem like there was anything out of the ordinary for Boeheim. It would be business as usual. But when was the last time you let a player take a personal day? He's an old school coach. He has his rules. They're hard and fast. So the Williams situation, certainly one to monitor. His minutes have been going down. Malik Brown played well today, and he has been playing well over the near past. So keep an eye out for Benny Williams and any news in the near future.
Ian, someone who barely played at all today for Syracuse, Chris Bell. In just 14 seconds into the game, you mentioned old school Jim Boeheim yanked the freshman after a turnover. He didn't play again until the start of his second half. So can you just kind of walk me through the first possession of the game, Jim Boeheim's instant reaction, and was it really worthy of Bell sitting the entirety of the first half?
So the problem with Bell, according to Coach Boeheim, was he gave the ball to the other team. There was a loose ball inside the three-point line about 45 seconds in. Bell dives, gets the ball. You have to love the effort. But then he passes it right to a Virginia player. Boeheim yanked him immediately after that. Justin Taylor played about the whole first half. When Bell got back in, Coach Boeheim said he liked the effort. Bell hit a couple threes, he played well, he showed some energy, but he only really racked up 8 total minutes. JT played the majority of the minutes, and Coach Boeheim said that this performance, this resurgence, is something Bell can build on, but he didn't have much of an impact tonight.
Ian, we saw something that we never thought we'd see, and that was the offense running through Jesse Edwards. A ton of set plays run by the Orange, where Edwards would post up and try to go to work, either dish it or take it himself. And it ended up costing Syracuse when Edwards committed the charge late in the game and turned the ball over. Cavaliers end up scoring to put the game away. Why was Jim Boeheim running the offense through him so frequently, especially down the home stretch?
Edwards is not much of a passer, Skyler, but Jim Boeheim said that was kind of our plan. Throwing it down low to Edwards helped open up space for shooters on the weak side. The Cavaliers brought double teams, they brought help. Edwards had the height advantage on Ben Vanderplas, who was just 6'9". So those double teams opened up space for guys on the opposite wing, whether that be Chris Bell or Justin Taylor. They just didn't make the threes. That was the problem at the end of the day. Edwards played well, had 3 assists, 14 points, didn't turn the ball over too much. It's very tough to beat a Virginia team straight up if you're just driving one-on-one or trying to run set plays. That pack line defense that Tony Bennett runs is just too good. So Boeheim dumping it down low, opened up the space on the other side of the floor. That's what they were going for. It just didn't work out today. The shots didn't fall, and yeah, Syracuse dropped another close one.
Our reporter Ian Unsworth live from the JMA Dome. Ian, thank you so much. And when we come back, we'll get into the stats behind the loss. How did the freshman forwards fare in the absence of Benny Williams? And what was behind the turnaround on defense for the Orange? We'll have the answers for you when Orange Press Pass returns.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back into Orange Press Pass. Ashley Wenskoski alongside Ian Nicholas and Skyler Wilkes. We're going to get into the stats behind the 67-62 loss for the Orange. Guys, let's hear your thoughts on Malik Brown's performance in the absence of Benny Williams. What was going right for him today?
Well, that's been going right for him, Ashley. I mean, even before Benny Williams decided, not to show up to work, he was starting for this team down in Blacksburg, and he would put up 11-6. And today, again, the stats not unbelievable, Skyler, but although he's not as talented a player as Benny, he does all the things that Jim Boeheim needs out of a 4 for this team. He rebounds, he dunks the basketball, he plays defense. Benny Williams may give you 1 or 2 of those things tonight, but Malik Brown most nights will give you all 3. Consistency is the key. That's what Boeheim wants.
With Malik Brown, it's all about efficiency. He's second on the team in efficiency rating, and he leads the team in field goal percentage. That's big when you have guys like Joe Girard and Judah Mintz who are shot-heavy guys. They demand the ball in their hands, and they take a lot of shots. Malik Brown, he may only take 6, 7 shots a game, but he's going to make 5 or 6 of them, and that is big because you're getting points, and like you said, Ian, you're getting a lot of rebounds. And when Jesse Edwards is having a day like he had today and he's had the last few games, it's huge for your team.
Yeah, guys, and Malik Brown and Chris Bell, they're going to be more and more important as we face the uncertainty of Benny Williams' return. But if we're going to take a positive out of this one, I think it would be the defense. The Orange held UVA to making just 46% of their field goals. So, Skyler, what was behind this defensive turnaround for SU?
It starts with the rotation and the 2-3 zone under a lot of scrutiny as of late, especially last season. Virginia Tech last game, it looked awful. The Hokies had their way with the Orange defense, but today the rotations were sharper, the lanes were clogged. I mean, we were talking about Virginia is a very sound team. They are top 4th in the country in the least amount of turnovers per game, and Syracuse made them commit 14. Active hands, they were physical inside, and it made it very difficult for the Cavaliers to get their shots off and get the looks that they wanted.
Yeah, I thought tonight was just going to look more like the Virginia Tech game. You've got another team that is awesome off the catch and shoot. All they needed to do was get to the free throw line, get a body there, force the defense to collapse, and kick it out. And although they did have some open looks that, the Cavs just simply didn't convert tonight away from home, at the end of the day, Syracuse getting a little bit lucky, but also doing all the things you mentioned to hold the Cavs to under 10 3-pointers, which really made them look like a pedestrian team offensively.
Yeah, guys, now another problem for the Orange tonight. The Cavaliers just outshot SU, making 12 of 15 of those charity shots at the free throw line. So, Ian, how critical was this to UVA pulling out this win?
Oh, it was everything. I mean, look, Jim Boeheim may be hit or miss on what he says in post-game press conferences these days, but I 100% agree with him in the fact that he said this game came down to free throws. Good teams close, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But it felt like Syracuse just was in the bonus for the final 10 minutes of this ball game. They missed 7 free throws overall. Jesse Edwards and Judah Mintz continuously getting hacked. Good for them getting to the line. Bad for them rarely converting both of those shots and really letting Syracuse go blow for blow, always feeling a step behind regardless of what the score was.
You said it, Ian. It was really the defining factor for much of this game. I mean, 7 missed free throws. They only lost by 5 points. You make those, you win this game. Missed opportunities, 61% from the line. That's 3rd worst this season. And it just, you're losing games because of it, and you just can't afford to do it, especially against the 6th best team in the country. It's unacceptable, especially from your best players like Jesse Edwards and Judah Mintz.
Yeah, guys, it's really the tale of missed opportunities for the Orange. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Groundhog Day, but Syracuse basketball is really reminding me of that right now. It's the same old story, game in and game out, second half after second half. So, Skyler, my question for you is, why can't the Orange close out these close games?
I think it starts with the youth on the floor. This team brought in 6 freshmen. They really only play 5 of them. And Judah Mintz, we now saw it for the 3rd time this season where the ball's in his hands late, and he is not a shooter. We all know that. He's shown it time and time again. Well, I think his numbers say otherwise. So, and he just continues to have the ball in his hands, and it's a turnover late. Jesse Edwards, the charge, the turnover. Judah Mintz, the late 3 that he heaves up. It's just not sound basketball, and it's not smart from an experienced head coach like Jim Boeheim.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at this awesome graphic here, and it shows you in 4 of these really close games for Syracuse, 3 of them losses, 13 turnovers or more. I mean, that Bryant game was so far in the past, I barely remember it. But when you look at these last 2 games, again, you see the inexperience to go up against these really good teams. UNC, number 1 team in the country in the preseason. Virginia, you said it, one of the top programs in the nation consistently. Syracuse has a great future. We knew this year wasn't going to be an awesome year for the program. The expectations kind of changed in the middle of the year, but really the reality was this team was never ready to compete against these great teams.
That's right, guys. Now, our player of the game tonight, Judah Mintz. The freshman scoring 20 points and 4 rebounds, really emerging as a leader on this young team. He combined with Jesse Edwards to score 37 of those points tonight. It's safe to say that this close loss would have been a not so close loss without Judah Mintz. When Orange Press Pass returns, we're taking a trip to the doctor's office. We're diagnosing the problems plaguing key pieces for the Orange, like Justin Taylor, Joe Girard, and Jesse Edwards. Stick with us.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass. Ashley Wenskoski here with Ian and Skyler. Now, guys, we're taking a little trip to the doctor's office, but it might be the hospital for the Syracuse men's basketball team. It might even be the emergency room. Yeah. We're going to take a look into some of the problems that are really plaguing the Orange here in these games, why they can't close out these close games, and why they just, quite frankly, can't find a win recently. So, Ian, I'll start with you. Justin Taylor. What are we diagnosing Justin Taylor with here?
I don't think it's emergency room serious, Ashley. I would just say he's a little homesick. I mean, the guy's got serious Virginia ties, went down to the Commonwealth against Virginia Tech, and he looked great. I mean, he had 4 threes, tied a career high, but then he comes back to Syracuse, plays his hometown team from Charlottesville, and he stinks up the joint, only shooting 2 of 6. So, look, I really like Justin Taylor. He's the future shooting guard. He's got the size and the shooting ability. I just thought he was a little homesick tonight.
For him, he's a youngster, and I have a diagnosis that's very common in guys that are young, and it's ADHD.
Oh no.
He came into today, and when Chris Bell mysteriously disappeared from the game, and was too trigger happy. He was shooting, he went 1 for 5 from beyond the arc, and he was just too trigger happy, too confident to shoot the ball. He missed some open shots, he had some open looks, but he's not Joe Girard at that Joe Girard level yet where he can come off that pick and do the catch and shoot game. He can, like you said, Ian, he will be there eventually. He's just not there yet, and it takes some time for these young kids to grow into their own.
Yeah, Skyler, some growing pains for the freshman, for sure. Now, moving over to Joe Girard, the senior. Guys, he's really hot, he's really cold. He hasn't been really hot since he had that outburst against Georgia Tech. What are we thinking is going wrong with him?
He's got more of an elderly issue, and he's got cataracts, and it's pretty clear. 5 for 20 from the field in the last 2 games. That's not going to get the job done. I mean, he's now under double digits for the last 2 games, and what do you know? They're 2 losses for the Orange. This team has lived and died by Joe Girard for much of this season. He's been the lifeline, and without him, this team has been somewhat hopeless. and they need him to get his eyes fixed and start seeing the hoop a lot clearer.
I think he just needs to start running a little bit more, to be perfectly honest. I think he's got a good old case of the cankles. The guy can't create his own shot. I mean, did you see him running up and down the three-point line today? He can't move north and south. It's only east and west. He's not fast enough. Those ankles aren't churning quick enough to actually get to where he wants to go, get inside the arc, to his spots where he takes those absolutely ridiculous shots that somehow go in. And ultimately, it's just too challenging. I mean, Ashley mentioned it. He looked awesome in that Georgia Tech game, but it's Georgia Tech. I mean, he's not going to look like the second coming of all these great Syracuse guards every single night, especially not against one of the best defenses in the country.
That's for sure, Ian. Now we have to take into consideration the other senior, the other key player on this Syracuse team, Jesse Edwards. Got off to such a hot start this season, but he's really taken a step back as of late as we've gotten into ACC play against some of those ranked opponents. So Skyler, what's going wrong for Jesse Edwards here?
It's another age issue. I think the Salt City has taken a toll on him, and he's got arthritis. He is just not strong enough to compete against these top-tier ACC big men. This is now 4 games in a row with under 10 rebounds on the year. He was averaging that for much of this season, and he's just been a real letdown. Last game against Virginia Tech, he's 6'11", remember that, Ian? Against 6'7", Justin Mutz, got out-rebounded by 7. Tonight against 6'6", Jaden Gardner, out-rebounded by 1. It's unacceptable when you're 6'11". This guy has ACC Defensive Player of the Year potential, and he's just not strong enough. He's just getting bullied down low in the paint.
Look, you will never meet a bigger Justin Mutz fan than me, but I agree. Jesse Edwards not living up to the potential because it's his senior year. I think he's just got a little bit of senioritis. Look, he's already accomplished so much in his Syracuse career. He's done all the good. He's done enough to get to the next level. I think there's a lot of limitations to his game. We're seeing it in these games against UNC, even tonight against UVA, especially down the stretch. I mean, look, Ian, not me, Ian, the other Ian mentioned it when we talked to him. They wanted to feed him the ball down low. It opened up some things, but it also showed you his limitations, showed you he's kind of starting to skip class and really not care about his results towards the tail end and before graduation.
Yeah, guys, and this is a team that just cannot afford to have those seniors have a case of senioritis. Now, I got one more question for you in our little doctor's office simulation that we're doing here. I want to diagnose, what is this team's chances of making the NCAA tournament this far?
Oh, can you get the shock machine out? Because they're dead. I mean, this team is stuck in the mud. You needed to win at least 2 of the last 3 games, in my mind, to make somewhat of a shot. I mean, we're going to look at the ACC standings later, Skyler. The ACC stinks this year, and you need to win at least 2 of those 3 games against above-average teams to be in the bubble conversation. But we mentioned it. They can't close out close games against good teams, and they haven't proven that they deserve to be playing anywhere beyond the beginning of March.
Ian, I'm right there with you. Syracuse's tournament hopes are absolutely lifeless. They have no shot. And it's a year, you said, the ACC is weak, and they've shown that they can compete with these top-tier teams. Again, Virginia down to the wire, UNC, Miami, all these talented teams that are going to be dancing. Syracuse gave them a run for their money, and it just has not turned out. They haven't closed games, as we've said all show. It has just not been the season that they haven't closed out games the way that they wanted to, and it's just, they're going on to the morgue pretty soon.
Ooh.
That's for sure, guys. When we come back, we'll look ahead. Where does this season go for 13-10 Syracuse team? We'll let you know when we return.
OTN is on all your favorite apps: Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Search Orange Television Network or OTN. OTN has its best shows, short films, and CitrusTV on demand. Family and friends can watch OTN too. Watch the live stream of OTN to catch live CitrusTV news, live from Studio B, and mornings on the Hill. On or off campus, watch OTN anywhere.
come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass. We're going to take a look now around the NCAA to kind of look at some of those teams that could be challenging the Orange for one of those NCAA tournament spots. And Ian, we have Texas Tech and Iowa State in overtime. Now, what do you think? What stands out to you about these games tonight?
Well, you know, look, that Iowa State-Texas Tech matchup is interesting, but honestly, I'm looking at the top left corner, Ashley. Baylor, a really good team. Scott Drew, he knows how to coach basketball, won a national championship for a reason. Unfortunately, they come up short, Skyler, to a really good Texas team, but I think Baylor's still going to be mixed down the stretch. They've got one of the best freshmen in the country. His name isn't Judah Mintz, and it's just a really solid program they run down there. So a setback, but look, that's going to happen when you play in the Big 12.
Texas deserves a lot of credit after the tough situation that the Longhorns had earlier in the year with their head coach Chris Beard leaving, interim head coach Ronnie Terry. How about this? This is a statement victory for the Longhorns 100%. In conference, top 11 win. And how about Colgate? Saw them in the Dome earlier this year. We know that they can shoot the lights out of the ball. No surprise that they're being loyal to Maryland like that.
Yeah, guys, now taking a look around the ACC. The current standings haven't changed that much in the last week or so. Just those records. Still got a bunch of teams bunched around the middle, bottom there, including our very own Syracuse Orange. Bunch of teams around that 6-7 win mark. Obviously, Clemson pulling ahead there at number 20, and Virginia, tonight's opponent right behind them. Guys, what do we think of these standings? Where are things going to kind of separate here in the middle of the pack?
It's going to be difficult. I mean, obviously, Virginia is the best team in the conference, but Clemson was such a great start to the year. They're still number 1 in the standings. I really like Pittsburgh, though. Honestly, I think they looked awesome, Skyler, when they came into the Dome. I was able to be there. The energy was awesome, but Pitt, they've got a really good team this season, a real veteran, experienced team. Syracuse has to make the trip to the Steel City. That's probably the toughest game remaining on their schedule. Syracuse also has to run into NC State as well. That's a team with a lot of talent. Outside of that, Duke. Duke is not Duke anymore. They've got Kyle Filipowski, and that is it. So, man, the ACC has fallen since it was so great just a few years ago.
It's not quite the same that it used to be. But think about this, what would it would be if Syracuse had won all those close games.
Yeah.
That record looks totally different. But again, you said Pittsburgh. Jeff Capel has turned that team around entirely. That is a special team coming out in the Steel City. And Clemson, Brad Brownell, this is one for a year for the books, for the Tigers. Don't know how long that magic is going to run for, but Tony Bennett, as always, his team is top tier in the ACC.
And our next Orange Press Pass will come this Saturday as the Orange travel to Boston College to take on the Eagles. The Eagles are seeking some revenge against Syracuse at home, but they're one of those teams that, you know, maybe the Orange could finally get some things rolling here and pull out a win against.
Yeah, the Orange beat the Eagles earlier in the year by 14. I would expect much of the same to happen. This is not a very well-coached and well-sound BC team.
Yeah, the only thing that comes to mind for me is remember what happened the last time Syracuse made the trip up to Boston? Jesse Edwards went down for the season. They weren't playing for a whole lot then, unfortunately, due to all these losses. Syracuse not playing for a lot right now, but I think it's an easy win for Syracuse as well.
Now, to kind of wrap things up here, guys, I want to get some final thoughts for you on this game. Ian, we'll start with you. What are your final takeaways from this loss for the Orange?
Well, my takeaway is actually I remembered pretty much all the great players on this team, Skyler. They have a name that begins with J. Jesse, Joe, Judah. At the beginning of the year, it was probably Joe, Jesse, Judah in the pecking order Right now, I've got Judah #1. The seniors have fizzled out, and Judah Mintz has established himself as one of the best freshmen in the country, back-to-back 20-point games.
We've hammered it a lot today. Malik Magic, I should say. He has been, who would have thought that he would have been the second best freshman on this team at the start of the year? No one. He's second on the team in rebounds, leads the team in field goal percentage. He has had one special freshman year.
Thanks so much for joining us here tonight on Orange Press Pass. For Ashley Wenskoski, Ian Nicholas, and Skyler Wilkes, thank you so much for joining us.